Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me. Today I am participating in a video hop, a fall colors video hop. And there's several participants. For my channel, I will be doing a $25 gift card to scrapbook.com. So if you're interested in that, all you have to do is leave a comment below. Of course, I would love it if you like what you see in this video, if you would subscribe to my channel. And as always, thumbs up are awesome. For me today, I made 3 cards. I actually was planning on only making 2 cards, but I had a lot of ink left over and I could not resist. I didn't want to waste the ink, and so I ended up going ahead and making 3. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just dividing it up. I don't know that this step was actually necessary, but it just made me feel better to get the stamps kind of aligned, kind of in a more uniform way, I guess. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the stamps, and this stamp set is a Catherine Fuller stamp set, and it's called Leaf Motifs. And so I'm just placing the stamps on my cardstock, and for all 3 of these I am using a card panel of Bristol Smooth. And so for this first card, I go ahead and I just use my stamping platform, and then so I don't have to erase the lines that I made, all I do is flip the cardstock over. And I prepped this because I'm going to be doing some heat embossing, so I prepped it with my embossing bag, and then I'm going to use some Versamark to put that watermark impression on my cardstock. And then I'm using some Ranger white detail embossing powder, and I'll go ahead and heat set that. And the colors for this particular card are Royal Treatment, Daydream, Aquatini, and Spruce. And these are Catherine Fuller inks. I love this color combination. It's not a traditional fall set of colors, but on Pinterest, I go through, and for me, that's how I try and figure out what colors I'm going to use. This was kind of like paint swatches, and this was a set, or some colors similar to this were in a set, and so there was probably about 6 to 8 colors, and I picked out these 4. And I absolutely love how the colors ended up turning out. And the Catherine Fuller inks have such a wide range of colors, and these matched up almost perfectly to what I wanted. And so all I did was I took the ink pad and just kind of spread it on the edges so that the whole piece was covered in ink on the edges, and then just sprayed with water. And I didn't want it to mix a whole lot, but I did want it to mix, and so that's why I get my paintbrush out and try and mix that up a little bit. And then I went ahead and I took my heat tool and I dried it all the way. And then there's just this leftover ink that had come off of, because I used a lot of water. There's a lot of ink that came off of that, so I went ahead and just took my paintbrush, and I just wanted little kind of like water droplets. And then I take some white acrylic paint. This is just a cheapy brand from Walmart that are like 50 cents, but any white paint or white medium that you have would do good as well. And all I did was water it down, and I'm just doing some splotches of white, or some white splatters. And then I let that dry on its own. And that is the first panel. And like I said, I really love those colors together. I wasn't sure if it would work, but I really love it. So for this next card, I just placed the cardstock back into my precision press. And each group of 2 colors I am inking up with the next set of colors, which are Rouge, yeah, Pixie Dust, Green Tea, and Tiki Torch. And so again, I'm going to turn this piece of cardstock over because I don't need the lines anymore. I already have the placement on and I didn't remove these after the first card, so they're still in the same exact place. So I go ahead and I stamp this up several times to get the best impression. And then the last time I stamp them up, or ink them up, I go ahead and turn it so that some of the leaves are overlapping the others. So the different colors are not in the same place as they were originally. And then as you can see, there's a ton of ink on my stamping platform, and I didn't want that to go to waste. So first I just left my card panel on my stamping platform and pressed the plate against the cardstock. And then I wasn't getting enough ink off of that, so I went ahead and spritzed it a little and to see if I could get a little bit more ink off. And especially on the top, not a lot of the ink transfers. So then what I ended up doing was just taking the platform completely off and taking my card panel and just pressing it into those extra colors, or that leftover ink. And I didn't want to overload the card panel with too much ink and kind of mess up the stamped impressions. So I just did it in a few spots. And then I took another piece of Bristol, a smooth cardstock, and kind of just wiped it. So I spritzed it with water a little bit, and then I just wiped the next panel, which will be my third card. I just kind of swiped that over the platform to go ahead and get as much of that ink off as I could. I didn't want to waste that ink. It was too pretty. So I really love how the colors kind of blend together on this panel. And so I just continue swiping the panel on the platform until I get as much of the ink off as I can without overloading the card. I leave a little bit of white space in there. So I go ahead and let that piece dry, and this piece as well. So to assemble all the cards, this first one is a stamp set by Kaisercraft, and it's called Peachy. And all I did was I took my white card base and put a piece of brown cardstock on that, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere my card panel. And I did this, and I do this all the time, and I didn't have as many problems as I did for this video getting the card straight. So usually when I use the double-sided tape, it's just really easy to get it even because you can put that first piece down, but this one did not get it even, and it wasn't on the right side for me to cut off, so that was that for that card. For this other card, I took a circle die from my stash. The Happy Fall sentiment is also a part of the Catherine Pooler stamp set that I use for the leaves, which is the leaf motifs. And I took 2 white circles and put a piece of vellum in between them. And took my tape ruler and went ahead and adhered those together. And then for this card, since I didn't use as much water, I didn't need a really heavy-duty double-sided tape on the back, so I just used my tape roller to go ahead and adhere the card panel to the base. And then I took my sentiment piece, which I used foam tape on the back to pop that up a little bit. And then I also used some Morning Dew Nuvo drops, and I used the Morning Dew along with my liquid pearls because the Morning Dew helps the liquid pearls to keep their shape, and I have a lot of liquid pearls, and it gives it the perfect like round little shape if you put the Morning Dew first and then put your liquid pearls on top of it, because the liquid pearls are a little bit thinner. So I did several of those on that card. And the last card, this one's my favorite. I just happened to have this paper in my stash, and it matched perfectly with the card. So all I'm doing is the sentiment strip is white heat embossed on vellum, and that is that same Kaisercraft stamp set called Peachy. And then I had wrapped a piece of thread around it, and I was trying to cut off, it had a lot of little sparkly things on it, and it was too much, so I tried to cut some off, and in the process I ended up cutting one of the strings. So it was meant to only have one string because I ended up cutting that off, so I just had to cut it from the edge and not use that at all. So for this card, I also use some Nuvo drops, and these are the These are the white gloss. And so that will complete that card, and that completes my set of cards. And just as a reminder, I am giving away a $25 gift card on my channel for scrapbook.com. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and leave a comment below. As always, if you like this video or found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. And I hope you enjoy your journey on this video hop, and thank you so much for joining me.